Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another week on this Thursday edition of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about, I kind of just threw stuff together. Is that up there? Give me 1 second. On today's show, we're going to be talking about, I kind of just threw a couple stories because I was in a rush this morning. We're going to talk about EA says that next Battlefield is a reimagination of Battlefield. We're going to talk about Control developer explains why Xbox Series S is a problem for devs. And we're going to talk about Starfield. It's kind of weird. People are freaking out, right? They're freaking out because Gamescom is in 20 days, 19 days. And Xbox is going to have like the biggest booth they've ever had at Gamescom before. And yet Starfield is not going to be playable. And it's literally a week before it comes out. So we're going to go over why people think this. We're going to read a story. And then I'll tell you the reason why I think it's not going to be playable there. And that's because they don't really need to advertise it, right? So that's what's on today's show. If you guys like the content that we do here, we do these shows Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern. We interact with chat. So if you guys want to be a part of this, if you guys would like, you can also, I'm trying to do this new thing where I put the questions on the screen. If you have a question, a direct question for me, put at 30 NSG and then put a Q, like space Q. So it would look like, here, let me put one in chat for you. It would look like this, right? With the Q and then your question after it. And that way, it brings my eye to it, and then I can put it into a thing to bring it up on the screen when I want to talk about the question. So I want more interaction with chat instead of me reading every single one. I mean, I'm going to read chat, but it helps us break out the question so I can like focus on that one where I don't miss it if it goes through. Now, just because you ask a question doesn't mean I also will answer your question. I also still might miss it, or based on the amount of time that we're talking about something, we might move on if it's based on like the last topic we were talking about. But that's what the show is. So if you like it, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you become a member as little as $5. All right, so Stealth asks, how was the school tour? The school tour was nice. Those of you, reason that I'm late this morning is yesterday we got a phone call for our son he got accepted into this other school that we've been trying to get into for 3 years. The reason that he's in the school that he is now is like the replacement school waiting for this call. And we didn't think we were going to get that call because we were like 20th on the list. And we got in. So it's like in an upheaval. We're like moving our son out of the school that he's been in for the last 2 years. This is going to be his 3rd year into this. So we had to go view the school, meet the teacher, and whatnot. We'll meet a teacher. We don't know if that's going to be his teacher. But we had to see the school, and then basically we had to do a crunch of, are we going to take our son out of the school that he's been in for 2 years, or are we going to throw him into the new school, right? Or keep him in the same school? So that was the family crisis type of thing this morning that we had to do. So it was nice. It was a nice school. It's much smaller. Those of you that had children, education is like key, right? So the school that he's in now has like almost 1,200 kids. There's like 25 kids per classroom. We're not going to a school where it's 17 kids per class and there's 2 teachers instead of 1. So before it was like 1 kid for 25 kids, or 25 kids for 1 teacher. And now it's 2 teachers with 17 kids. So it's like, what, 7.5 kids basically per teacher. So the kid gets to learn more and whatnot. So that's what we're doing. And that's why I was late this morning. So, all right. Let's get to the first story. First story, there's 2 articles. There's 2 articles on Battlefield here. We got one story. It says EA says the next Battlefield is a reimagination of Battlefield. And then this one says DICE reflects on Battlefield's 2042's long road to redemption. So what story would you like to hear first? Would you like to hear, they're both about Battlefield. Would you like to know about the long road to redemption, or would you like to know the reimagination? They could be based on the same thing. I haven't read them yet this morning. Like I said, I'm behind this morning. So I just kind of grabbed some stories that we can talk about. So we want to know about the long redemption. We're going to read them both, but which one do you want to know first? Sarge says reimagination. Reimagination. Oh, you know what? I can do this. Where the hell is my... He says... Oh, that's the wrong one. Wrong one. Reimagination of Battlefield. We are fucked. It was already reimagined, and it sucked. But redemption. Show me the redemption. It is a redemption. It's brought a lot of players back. I haven't played it in about a month, but all the changes they've done, they finally fixed all the maps that they had from originally when it launched. You know what? Let's go into the redemption story first, right? Let's go to the redemption story first. So, DICE reflects on the Battlefield 2042's long road to redemption. An exclusive interview with DICE reflects on the 18-month journey to get Battlefield 2042 back on track. Okay, back on track. And we had gotten away from making it with our players. The fact, just the title, the quote, right? The fact that they, like, reflecting on it, going, we got away from the players, is amazing to me. It really is amazing to me. It's like McDonald's changing the recipe to their Big Mac. You know what I mean? Like, the Big Mac is known for the bread and the pumpernickel seeds or whatever the hell it is, a sesame seed bun with the lettuce and tomato and all the stuff. And it's been like that for decades. Decades. Right? And yet, they're going to change the recipe for it. Give me 1 second. All right. So it's like changing the recipe for the Big Mac. Battlefield has been Battlefield for the longest time. The style of it, the what the structure is, the team base, right? And then all of a sudden they decide, we're going to make it a hero shooter. And they're wondering why people don't like it. It's baffling. It's baffling, right? So DICE is taking a victory lap. In November of 2021, the launch of Battlefield 2042 threatened to sink EA's flagship shooter franchise for good. There were complaints ranging from strength of the feature set to the stability of the servers, and while they witnessed some incredibly comeback stories in recent years, the pressure on DICE to deliver was looking immeasurably what a difference 18 months can make. Okay. Now, in my Battlefield, this is what the article says, in my Battlefield 2042 review, I noted that there was a strong foundation for future expansions, but I didn't expect it to look anything like this. To be fair, neither did the senior producer, Ryan MacArthur. Okay, quote, players were expecting a great game from us, and we didn't deliver on that initially. Okay, it's been tiring, exhausting, and super rewarding, unquote. Now, this is what I love, right? You made the problem, right? You, the developer, made a problem. And then in a quote, you say, it's been tiring and exhausting, but super rewarding. Wouldn't it be super rewarding and take out the exhausting and being tired because you fucked up the game and then you had to go back and fix it instead of making a fantastic game from the start and then reaping the rewards of making a great game and then seeing the player base just loving your game. Instead, they were shitting all over your game, right? Longtime Battlefield people just stopped playing your game completely and said, peace out. We'll see you on the next one, maybe. Okay? I didn't play it until it came out to Game Pass. And even when it's on Game Pass, first impressions are everything. And I still have the back of my mind that the game was bad. So now, in the quote, he's like, it's been tiring and exhausting, but super rewarding. It could have been super rewarding without being tired and exhausting. MacArthur is quick to highlight the success, new weapons, specializations, sweeping reworks to all 7 of the launch maps, and return to class of squad management system and steady influx of players deploying on re-energized all-out warfare. But he also isn't afraid to reflect on where DICE fell short and the steps that the studio is taking to build a stronger lines of communication with Battlefield community. that what MacArthur and explored here, he run through the reactions to the launch and how the studio translated criticism into action and the power of the class system and more. But before we got to this conversation, we should consider framing of Battlefield 2042 Season 5, which arrived on June 5th. Now, the season is entitled New Dawn and somewhat appropriate, and the direct reflection of how the views of Journey has undertaken 18 months spent regaining the trust and the disappointment of the player base in the competitive marketplace, steadily rebranding the momentum with key quality of life improvements and long-awaiting additions. Remember, the game came out without a scoreboard. Without a scoreboard, people. No scoreboard. Okay? And now the studio feels it's finally in a position to push Battlefield 2042 to the next level. With the dawn comes a new day. Okay? It says, warning signs. Battlefield, quote, Battlefield 2042 just didn't land the way we hoped it would, says MacArthur, a senior producer who was brought shortly after the launch to help salvage the project. The way we talk about the game is the way the trailers had presented it. I think players were expecting a great game from us, and we didn't deliver initially. You think? You think people were expecting a great game? Bold to think that way. But the team was really passionate about fixing it and getting players what they were expecting from Battlefield game. Again, reading this out loud just really makes it sit home to me. Like, how disconnected were you from Battlefield? We should make Battlefield like Call of Duty. We should make Battlefield like Overwatch. We should make Battlefield like Apex Legends. Like, how disconnected? So MacArthur says that the first 6 months were particularly a struggle as the studio attempted to process all of the criticism that came in its way. Quote, we did not a lot of soul searching right after 2042 came out. I'm a big believer in the idea that how to make something is reflected in what you make. Really? So when we started looking at how we wanted to fix the game, we took a really hard look, not only at the game itself, but how we made it, which was garbage. You didn't take passion in your project. It was crap when it came out. We had gotten away from making it with our players, and that had gotten lost in the pressure to get the game out. Now that's a big statement. This statement right here, right? That's a big thing right there. Okay? That's a big thing right here. We had gotten away from making it with our players that had gotten lost in the pressure to get the game out. Meaning you didn't care. Right? To me, that's saying a huge amount of we don't give a shit how the game came out. We just want the game to come out so we can make money off of you, regardless of the quality of the game. That's a big statement right there. Right? Kylo Green said, I got a free copy. He says, I got a free copy from a promo of buying a Battlefield Edition M2 SSD, and I never even touched the game. Imagine that, right? Imagine that. Okay. I don't know why it changes it every time. Because they're idiots. That's right, Travis. Right? That's one thing we'll agree with. They are idiots. Okay. So let's go on to the next paragraph here. The Battlefield community is a passionate group, players and members of the development team alike. The first part of the process to fix 2042 was, quote, taking the real difficult step of opening ourselves up to a vulnerable situation to take feedback. Oh, poor baby. A vulnerable situation to take feedback. Like, are we supposed to feel sorry? Are we supposed to feel sorry because they screwed up the game? You know what I mean? Like, how are we supposed to you know what I mean? It's so ridiculous to me. It's so ridiculous to me. We opened us up for being vulnerable in a situation to take the feedback. Initially, it was harsh. That was coming back was tough to hear. Players were unhappy, but we knew the disappointment came from a good place. They love this franchise. Yeah, they did love the franchise. So a lot of the process was saying to the team, let's take this harsh feedback and let's see where they're at and really understand what we missed. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. When you read something, you take out the curse words. You take out the death threats they probably got. Oh, I forgot to change my the thing today. Give me 1 second. Right? You take out the curse words. So if somebody said to you, you fucking asshole, you ruined the game. Okay? There's no scoreboard or anything like that. What they should do is take out the you fucking asshole, okay, and just look at you ruined the game by not putting a scoreboard, right? Do you know what I mean? Like they take it to heart because when they say you fucking asshole or something like that, they're like, oh, they're making fun of me. But the person that's writing that or something, they're just taking their anger out because they're in love with something and you ruined the thing that they loved, right? So trust me here. I get criticism all the time. Criticism is actually really good because it's a reality check, right? Because everyone thinks their shit doesn't stink, but believe me, it does. Okay? So criticism is the main driving force to make people be better, right? Even the best writers in the world have someone check their shit so that way, okay, that way you can make your thing better because sometimes you're blinded by what you're doing, right? Right? So that's what it is, right? And the fact that they're like, oh, we got to take these harsh words. Whatever happened to the words, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me, okay? Because that's what he's talking about, the harsh feedback. The harsh feedback's not that your maps suck, there's no cover, there's no scoreboard, there's no communication, there's nothing, and you put, right? That's not harsh criticism. That's literally just telling the facts of what you missed the opportunities for in the game. The harsh part is when people put adjectives in, right? Asshole, fuck you, ruin the game, stuff like that. That's the harsh part of the feedback, right? So let's continue. From there, MacArthur says it was key to rally the passion and expertise of the team around the central vision. What we really drove after with all this lots of thinking was, let's be really clear on what the game we want to make. Why didn't you do this in the beginning? But they did. They knew what game they wanted to make. They wanted to make a game that was broke, buggy, unfinished, and it would take 18 months to finish and charge you a full $70, $80, $90, $100, $120 to get your money out of your pocket before they gave you a good game. This statement right here, what we really drove after is it clear on what game we wanted to make. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they gave you. Okay? It says what's missing and that what isn't working. We spent a good chunk of time figuring that all out. Meaning you didn't take the time to do that in the beginning before you released it. You admitted that by saying they were pushed by the pressure of getting the game out and not finishing the actual game. And what isn't working. We spent a good chunk, or they had to believe it. They had to believe in it. And we have a passionate team who wants to make a really good Battlefield game. So we really leaned into the expertise and allowed the team a little bit of freedom to push after what they thought was missing. Hey, Charles, what do you think's missing from the game? Well, it's only my second day here, but you guys don't have a scoreboard. Shut up, Chuck. Okay? We don't need a scoreboard. No one's asking for scoreboards in a multiplayer game where you want to know what your kills and death ratio is. Get out of here. What does this guy think he's doing, right? Right? Like, what do you mean? How did you not know? There's literally Battlefield 1942, 43, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2042 or 2142, Vietnam, Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, hell, even Hardline. There's all of these things that you had to look back on. Where are we as a society where Marvel tells people not to read the comics of the actual source material and developers don't look back at past games to continue on the tradition of what the game is? It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. What followed was a slow, steady process of refinement. Okay? At the time, DICE's decision to delay the launch of Season 1 in early 2022 was viewed widely as a ringing of death kneel by EA. But eternally, the team knew it had weathered the storm and just a little longer. The gamble paid off, and when they launched the first season of the game, you could start to see pockets of momentum shifting among the players. Season 2 was better, and the game was starting to find its feet. Season 2 was literally like a year afterwards. Right? Was literally like, I don't know, 9 months afterward. Okay, Season 3 launched in November and brought with it the return of the class system, something with MacArthur calls the last big ticket item that really wanted to have to get us to the game. They really wanted. Season 3 also aligned with Battlefield 2042's release into the Game Pass Ultimate, and the senior producer tells me that it was a huge milestone. Okay. Well, yeah, because I didn't have to pay $120 for your broken-ass game. It's just another game that's on there. Okay. He says, quote, I'm a big believer in programs like Game Pass, and for us, it was huge momentum, something that marked the calendar. And one thing we talked about internally quite a lot was that there was a moment in time where we were going to open the game up to a whole bunch of new players, and then it needs to be good. The fact that you said that to opening up to a whole bunch of players on Game Pass, okay, says a whole lot to me. Because, again, if I take this, the one thing we talked about internally quite a lot was that there was a moment in time where we were going to open this game up to a whole bunch of new players, and it needed to be good. What about this? It needed to be good. It needed to be good. Wouldn't that be better if it was needs to be good when someone paid their hard-earned money, $70, $80, $90, $100, $120 editions? Wouldn't that be better if you needs to be good instead of, no, we were pressured to get it out and we didn't care about the players. We didn't care about what Battlefield was. We just wanted to make the money. Just say that. Just say that out loud. And now it says that they needed to be good. It needs to be a game that they wanted it to be when it launched it. And they really galvanized the team as it charged towards the date. Okay. From there, MacArthur says that each season has seen the player base expand, and with it, the team's enthusiasm with each of these new releases for players. The team got more and more excited. It really helped get their creative juices going, he continues. And I think this is why every season has been better than the last. Look, at not just the core work, but the weapons and that they made. The fact that we reworked every single map that we shipped in the game at launch, with the last one coming out at the end of Season 5. Can I just say that you made 7 maps, and you took 18 months to fix the 7 maps, instead of having maps that were fine at launch, and then you could have made 7 additional maps since launch. I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. Let's see. That's something we've never done before. With the last one coming out at the end of Season 5, and that's something we've never done before. I don't even know what that means. We reworked. We made 7 maps. They were all shit, and we had to rework them. It's something that we've never done before. Congratulations for wasting your time and ours. He says, I think the willingness to listen, to make changes, and to learn, and what we didn't get something right for the first time, then get it right the second time, was sort of rejuvenated to the player base. It's also rejuvenated the team by allowing them to go back and do the job that they thought they could have done better. Man. Does anyone feel like he still kind of doesn't know what's going on? Anybody feel that way? So why was it hard? Why it was also really fun for us when it looked back at my career, and it's probably the journey I'm most proud of. You're most proud of putting a shitty game out there and then coming back and then saying that you're proud of fixing it? This would be one of the things I wouldn't put my name on, right? When I tell those stories about being in the film industry, right? This would be one of those things that I wouldn't be proud of. I would make up a It would be a stage name, and that would be the name that I put onto the game. This would be one of the things I talk about going, man, I worked on every single Battlefield game, and the one I hated the most was the one that we fucked up and I had to go back. I wouldn't say I'm proud of it. I would be anything but proud of it. I would be furious that I had to waste 18 more months of my life on a game that I already put my time into and fucked it up. All right. So, player feedback. Looking beyond challenging launch window, the key component of DICE strategy has been community outreach. You don't need to spend a long social media to find members of the studio community management team and interacting with players directly. Working to identify points and friction and bring clarity to big changes, MacArthur is quick to praise the team as he accomplished over the last 18 months. They have really good understanding of where we want to go, but also what the players' needs are. They have also been willing to wade into some pretty passionate conversations and deal with some emotional reactions when we do something that doesn't go as planned. I'll tell you what, I will go in a phone call with anybody from DICE, EA. I've played every single Battlefield from the beginning of time. I will give you my time. Okay? I will give you my time. In return, for every game that you create afterwards, I get for free. Okay? Because I know you're not going to pay me. Right? So I will give you my time to give you what you need to do for a Battlefield game, but I get your game for free. Okay? Our community management team has been able to do this in reality professional and empathetic way. And that really helps us better understand situations so they can be escalated. Really strong community management has been so key to success, and we're also in the last 18 months, says MacArthur, who notes that Battlefield community will continue to be a key player in the 2042's ongoing evolution as a live service. He says there's never an excuse for harassment or vitriol aimed at any member of the team development team. And MacArthur says that it's an important part of the journey has been finding ways to filter feedback. He knows that much of it comes from a good place, and the challenges has been how it incorporates information into its workflow. Okay? I never say individually, like you yell at somebody. But using curse words and saying certain things, again, if you just remove those things, that's the passionate part of when someone's upset about something, okay? Like, you never go up to somebody and be like, you are a fucking idiot, right? But in general, they were idiots for doing what they did, right? Now, if someone wants to take that as an attack or whatever, you know, that's on them. Again, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Players always know what they want. They're just not necessarily the best at explaining it. If you take the mindset into all the things, our job as developers is to find out what they mean. Put a scoreboard in. Put a scoreboard in. Put a scoreboard in. What is he saying? Is he saying scoreboard? Put a scoreboard in? What do they mean? We can't say they're wrong. We have to understand that there's something that there's causing somebody to react or ask whatever they're asking for. So, quote, we accept it as part of our job and we listen to it and we try to find the path forward, he says. And I think the team has really embraced that. It allows us to focus on where we are and where we are, what are the issues. And we're always looking for ways to refine or fine-tune aspects of the game. There's a willingness to move and change the adapt to work. And we've already seen how it looks and practices maps and have been heavily reworked. There's also been a dampening of 128 player battles, balance changes to weapons and vehicles. Yeah, it's great. They got rid of the 128 for most of the battles. You know, the entire system have been overhauled. DICE still believes that Battlefield 2042 is willing to do whatever it takes to get the game to where it needs to be and the players that they want it to be. Okay. The next section is class returns. DICE didn't waste any time on making sweep changes to the Battlefield 2042. It took 6 months for the studio to cease development on Hazard Zone. The smaller scale survival mode, which failed to make an impact at launch. It didn't work in Battlefield 5 either. And yet you double pressed it on the next game. One of the biggest results of the shift in the introduction of classes in Season 3, a series staple which defines roles across battlefields that are swarming with hundreds of players. The most controversial 2042 design decision saw classes skewed for a broader assignment of specialists. 10 were available at launch, and while each loosely fit with assault engineer support recon boundaries, there was a proficiency muddled with readability of squads. MacArthur says the intention was good, but it also just didn't land as intended. That's because you were making it a hero shooter, which The actual foundation of Battlefield is not that. The goal was originally, it was to be good, a good one to chase. We wanted to keep that rock, paper, scissors team play structure and give it more identity and provide more opportunities to grow the sandbox over time. Yeah, cha-ching, cha-ching, microtransactions. That's what you wanted to do with the specialty classes. Okay. We were underestimated was that because it looks so different, players didn't necessarily see how it all fit together. Yeah, because it's a separate game. It's a completely separate game. It's not a Battlefield game. Each of these specialists were originally designed to fit within the class structure, and we had in previous games. We just didn't land the communication or execution in that way that the players understood what role each specialist was supposed to play, said MacArthur. We underestimated the need to make sure that they constantly tie these things back to the original pillars of Battlefield: class gameplay, squad play, and teamwork. This is one of the big places where we failed. Yeah, because you literally threw it all out the window, which Battlefield was. Okay. So when we looked back at the data and when we started moving forward and introducing the class system, one of the big things we really started to understand was that a lot of our issues came from the fact that the players didn't understand how the specialties were supposed to work. No. See, that's where you're wrong. We knew how the specialty were supposed to work, but we didn't like it because Battlefield is not about specialists. It's about classes, about teamwork. You literally just said this up above. Back to the original pillars of Battlefield: class gameplay, squad play, and teamwork. Okay? Something that we failed on. Okay? And now they're saying it was just the players. They didn't understand how the specialists worked and supposed to work. No, we knew exactly how they were supposed to work. Okay? So, of course, we believe that the old way was better. Sure you did. Feedback from the players was really good around this, so we had to find a way to give them what they wanted, but still allow the freedom and flexibility of what originally wanted to. Now, the specialists are now more distinctly divided into 4 classes. As a result, it's more cleanly defined structure of 2042's massive conflicts, regardless of whether there's 64 or 120 players around the conquest or breakthrough. And the pace of to play is more balanced when players understand their role. Imagine that. And what we expected of them. To help wider team success amidst the chaos from a perception perspective, MacArthur says classes were the last nail in the journey back to what Battlefield games should be. And we were seeing the community talk about how they've gotten the game where they were hoping for when it first launched in 2042. The return of class has also been a positive for DICE. MacArthur says the system return has given the team clarity of purpose, which any Battlefield game before this one would have gave the team the same clarity or purpose. And it helps solidify the vision of driving development of the new modes, maps, and themed events forward. Our features in this game are richer than we also have to proper class system back in the game, he says, adding, and we're really leveraging players playing together and as we go forward. Imagine that. Looking ahead, there's still a long road ahead of Battlefield 2042, but the game available today is in good place. It's actually just short of where it should have been at launch. Because in my opinion, Battlefield 2042 is still not at the place it should have been at launch. Right now, they're 19 months behind. Okay, 19 months behind. Because if the game came out today, as the way it is now, we would have looked at it and said, wow, this is a good game. And then 19 months from now, the game would have been much better. But instead, they made a game that was broke, buggy, unfinished, didn't know what it was, lost the whole thing of what Battlefield was. Okay? And now 19 months later, we're at where we were supposed to get the game at launch. Bravo for not doing your job correctly. Okay? So the new map Reclaimed, also being nodded to Battlefield 4 era. It's also being colored the tone of the seasons, is very much leaning back towards the roots of the franchise, he says. But what we really want to do is find new ways to connect the players, and now we really have gotten the game under us. Okay, if you take the broad look at what has come in Season 5, you get a clear sense of where Battlefield 2042 is heading next. DICE is exploring ways to strengthen the foundation and tighten focus on squad management and modes, which emphasize the squad collaboration, and then find new ways to leverage the scale of the platform. There's also where right now we're trying to really sink our teeth into what makes Battlefield great while trying to find new ways to deliver that to players. I think Season 6 is going to be one of those really interesting moments where people are going to go, well, I didn't expect it, but there's also really what really is battle, but that's real Battlefield. And I think this is a kind of thing that we want to go right after now. How do we move forward and give our players more, but still Battlefield? Quote, people trip and make mistakes, says MacArthur. As our conversation draws into close, I think it's good for us to get a chance to come back and do what they think and we can do best. It's been fun to see players jump back in and give it another chance. And for them, it says you guys are getting where you're supposed to be. So I think that's a terrible, terrible interview by the guy, MacArthur. Because I think, literally, it's just like blowing smoke up our asses, right? I truly believe that. I truly believe it's like PR type of stuff where he's saying this stuff because this is what we as the players want to hear. But that's not what I want to hear, right? I want to hear we screwed up. We tried to monetize something that we shouldn't have monetized. We tried to make it a hero and we screwed up, and we totally screwed up on my Battlefield, and we lost complete, utter what Battlefield was. That would go way bigger for me personally than saying the stuff that they're saying. Well, it's just the player base, and they didn't understand how the specialist classes worked. Like, your Battlefield audience is literally average age is like 34, right? 34. Battlefield, the game itself, is like 20-something years old, right? I think it's 20 years old now. Meaning, they started playing the game when they were like 14. The average person was like 14, and they played the game up until this thing. What's going on, Todd? Okay? And I find it funny that they say stuff like this, where the answer was in front of them the whole time. Hey, I want to make a new Battlefield game, right? Just imagine this now. You think they're going to make the same mistake again for the next Battlefield? You'd fucking A right they are. The next Battlefield is going to have just as many problems as this Battlefield. Because that is it. Instead of a game taking 3 to 5 years to make, okay, it still takes 3 to 5 years to make, but they release it in 18 months to 24 months, which would be like alpha beta, okay, format. And then they release it, and you pay full price for that game because you're like, oh, the new Battlefield game's coming out. And then they fix it over the next 2 to 3 years, which would make it a 4 to 5 year game. Okay? And that is the MO. Okay? Don't be fooled by, oh, we're listening to the player base. This is planned obsolescence. This is planned from the start. Okay? I don't know if I used that correctly. Planned obsolescence, right? Right? It's planned from the beginning to be exactly how it is today. It was planned. We shouldn't make 20 maps. Okay? We're going to make 7 maps, and we're going to fuck it up and then fix it over time to make it feel better. Right? That way it doesn't separate the player base for DLC being launched, and they just sell cosmetics, right? Less is more, okay? They could take the same 7 maps and fix those maps over the next 2 years, and it's still the same size game. But you feel better about yourself now because you're like, oh, they fixed it. See, they're listening to us. Planned obsolescence is Turtle Beach. That's correct, Sarge. Okay, right? And that is what's so irritating. Travis says, well, you finally did it, Mike. You finally did it, Mike. You found a topic that makes me can move onto Starfield or something. This isn't Nobody Cares. Well, somebody does care, Travis. And it's fucking me, right? I care. I am this person that cares about this game. I am the person that wants this game. I am the person that would give them feedback and tell how much their game sucked and how much they missed the bar. I care. And the only person that cares about this topic, I don't care if is just me. And I'm fine with it. And Todd. Okay? Yeah, Todd, Gator, I feel so upset for people like you, and you probably are not upset, right? A lot of people are just not upset, okay? I feel terrible that someone paid for the $120 version that got lied to about what this game was, right? And I remember having conversations with you in person saying, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, right? Right? And this is not about me saying, like, I told you so, but it's like, I was like, don't get it, because something feels off about this game, right? Something feels off about this game. Okay. Like right now, I'm having fun with Battlefield. When I played it, I'm having fun. I started having fun in November, December when I loaded it because of Game Pass. But I'm having fun because I didn't invest $120 into the game and wait 18 months to play it, right? I didn't invest $120 to wait 18 months. If I paid $120 when it came out to get the preemptive thing, I would be done. But because I didn't pay the $120 and I waited 18 months to play the game, I don't feel as angry. Okay, I'm angry for the people that paid it, and I'm angry for what they did to the franchise. I'm angry for what they did to Battlefield. But I'm having fun. Like right now, if the game launched, this is the way the game should have launched back in the day. Come on, Barry. Dyson EA has planned to F up Battlefield since Battlefield 4. So sad. Yeah. So the answer is Game Pass. Yeah. Because in the article, with the guy saying it, he said, "Oh, we had to make it good for Game Pass, right?" And this is our conversation we had before, right? Why is it that free-to-play games have to be good, right? Because people that try it, they want to get hooked right away, okay? Where games that charge $70, $80, $100, they can only have to make that game good for a certain period of time, and then it's done. But they already got your money. See, free-to-play games have to have they have to be good always, because they want you to spend money on microtransactions and whatnot, right? Yeah, and I don't think Boss is upset, right? I don't think Gator's upset. I'm upset for them. I'm upset for the player base that put their money out thinking that Battlefield was going to be what it was, and it wasn't, right? And then they come back later and say that, oh yeah, we missed the bar, but I really don't think the player base understood what specialties were. We all make mistakes. I made one with Avengers, even though it was fun for the moment. Lack of support destroyed the game. Yeah, but that game wasn't broke when it came out. It was broke in the end game. Like the single player aspect, and it's two separate games, Water. Marvel's Avengers was a single player game, and I remember having this conversation. It's a single player game with co-op and multiplayer added on to it, right? Battlefield is literally just a multiplayer game. There is no single player in this. I expected 2042 to come to EA Play before launch. It did. We had 10 hours. That's the only reason I played, Titan. You got 10 hours if you have Game Pass or EA Play, right? Or Ultimate has EA Play. It gave you 10 hours. That is the only reason we played the beta, and when the launch, we played the 10 hours, and I only used 3 of the 10 hours. All right? So they did give it to you before launch to test it out before you wanted to buy it. What's going on, Tony? And Diablo and Skyrim waiting for Starfield, but may have to check out Battlefield since it's out there. Battlefield right now, even though with my angry rant that we just read through for the interview with the lead guy, the lead designer, it's in a good spot now. But my anger is because it's in a good spot now and not 18, 19 months ago, right? EA is terrible. They only care about FIFA. They don't even care about the yeah, but they don't even need any other games. FIFA is the biggest moneymaker. Well, that and Madden. Madden makes a lot of money for them as well, Murray. Just old class system back then. There you go, Dice. Yeah. Sarge said the other day when we were playing Division, right? And he said it yesterday in chat. A Battlefield game with Transformers. That's it. A Battlefield game with G.I. Joe. That's it, right? It sells itself. I think now they'll be fools to think about any game comes out complete now. We have to wait at least 15 months. Yeah. Here's the thing. Unless the next Battlefield game really sells me, right? And I don't get that little vibe that's like something's wrong, I will not get it day one. I will not get it month 1. I will not eat it in a box. I will not eat it with a Fox. I will not eat my green eggs and ham with Battlefield, okay? They've ruined it. The first impressions of this game, they've ruined it, okay? I will get the next Battlefield, unless it's free, right? Unless it's on Game Pass, I will not be purchasing the Battlefield that comes out in 2 years or whatever next year. I won't, unless it's really, really freaking good. I'm like, you know what? This is it. But I will not get it because of what it is, what they've done. They've burned me. A person that's been getting every single game. The only game I didn't buy, I rented before I got it, was Hardline, because I didn't like the cops and robbers thing, okay? I've owned every single Battlefield, okay? Every single one, from PC to console. And they ruined it. They ruined it. They could have taken the classes and made a separate game, the specialists, and make a separate game completely. Just call it something different, right? You could have taken the specialty classes and made a game like Hardline, put the specialty classes in, and it's an branch off of what Battlefield is, but not Battlefield. So let's read the Reimagine. Now, I don't know what this article is going to be. I don't know if it's going to run over into what they were talking about before, but we're gonna talk about. EA says that the next Battlefield is a reimagination of Battlefield, right? This sounds fantastic, right? Right off the bat. Speaking of the latest EA earnings call, EA CEO Andrew Wilson. How old is this article? Because I think we've read this before. Oh, August 2nd. Okay. Wilson comments have stirred up quite a discussion online after Battlefield 2042 was met with a reimagining of the franchise. All-out warfare and massive scale were mentioned in the build-up to 2042's release, and whitelist. Technically, EA delivered on those buzzwords. The game failed to resonate with players and was also considered a huge flop. However, to give EA the benefit of the doubt, we're thinking of reimagination here is referring to a new Battlefield team and the EA's plan to have multiple studios working on multiple Battlefield projects. After Battlefield 2042 release, DICE had a major shakeup with Respawn's Vince Zampella taking on a bigger role as the new overall boss of Battlefield franchise, while Halo designer Marcus Leto is building a new development team in Seattle focusing on injecting more storytelling into Battlefield universe. Ripple Effect, the developer of Battlefield 2042's Portal mode, is developing a new Battlefield experience in Battlefield 2042 universe. Battlefield's future is seamlessly a number of different games and experiences integrated under one roof of whitelist. It's easy to get caught up in the marketing speak, and reimagination is just another way of stating that it's also already heard the following in 2042's launch. Now, 2042 launch is disastrous state in November of 2021, with the majority of the core of the fans criticizing the game for the change in the direction what made the series popular. During an earnings call in February of 2022, EA revealed that the game had failed to meet the sales expectations because the game did not resonate with the Battlefield community. Battlefield 2042 is a game that will clearly stick with a lot of people in the wrong reasons, and this reimagination phrase is easy to get caught on. We're thinking nothing more than rewording of what's already been said in your opinion. The best to wait a little longer to see what the team is cooking up, which is amazing because that's what I just said, right? They've damaged me. The true Battlefield. Bought every single Battlefield to date, okay? Which then leaned over to Battlefront with the 2 games from DICE with Battlefront, okay? But now I'm done. I'm done. Unless what Titan is saying, if they had a Bad Company game, if Bad Company 3 was the next game to come out, right? If Bad Company 3 was coming out and it had a story campaign like Bad Company 1 and Bad Company 2, I would pick it up at launch because I would play the campaign, okay? But if it's just a game like it is Battlefield now, I wouldn't touch it. And I would wait because it's just not worth it. Jesse says 100% EA and DICE would definitely delay a new Battlefield game. They know already if they effed up other Battlefield games and they're done. Right. Like now it's on shaky ground. Free-to-play hero shooter. That's what's next. The one will be. If it's something in the Battlefield universe, but not the Battlefield game. Like if they come out with a Battlefield game and it's back to Battlefield, and then they have a Battlefield offshoot where it's specialty, it's like a hero shooter and stuff like that, but set in that world, whatever, cool. Bull for Life says, honestly, I prefer Battlefront over COD. Now well over the past couple of years, now COD has been cut and paste. Oh, copy and pasta. It's been like that for years, though, for Life. You probably just saw it. You saw the wizard now of Call of Duty, right? Travis says, what's annoying is that people say, well, it's the next one is better. How many chances does a group get? Right. Right. So I hope when they reimagine it, it's reimagined in a way where they keep Battlefield separate. Look, I'll be honest with you. I think Battlefield Portal is a separate game completely, not a mode in the game. I think Portal should be a separate game. And hear me out. Every time a new Battlefield game comes out, the old Battlefield kind of gets retired, right? And Battlefield Portal should be that game that picks up all the other. It's like the melting pot of stuff, right? And this is why. So if Battlefield Portal stayed up and running, let's say, so Battlefield 2042 is moved on to the next, let's say it's Battlefield 2042 or 43 now, right? And then it goes on to 2044. Okay. Portal is always there. It's that free-to-play online where they take all the old maps and they kind of throw them in there. And if you're a person that likes to play the old stuff, the servers are still up, Portal's there. They keep adding stuff to Portal. Okay. But if you want that standalone type of game of the brand new stuff, then you would get the 2043, 2044, 2045, whatever the sequels are. Okay. But all the old stuff. So if 2045 came out, 2043, 2044, those maps and servers are going to close because that's a live service game and they don't want those servers up. But they take those maps and they add them into Portal, right? That's where I think Portal shines. Jesse says, DICE saying that this is the headline. This is the free out of jail card for a new Battlefield game. So that's the first story. That took me 45 minutes to get my rant out through that thing. But I'll tell you what, I feel much better now. I feel much better now. I feel much better. Got that out of my system. Got that out of my system. All right. Let's go to the next story. If you guys like the content, make sure you hit that like button down below. Well, let's see. Anything? Oh, where is this one? I don't think this is updating. I gotta update the new program that I'm using is not working correctly for some reason. All right. All right. The next one is Control developer explains why the Xbox Series S is a problem for devs. Okay. One of Remedy Entertainment's devs chimes in on the Xbox Series S, explains why the low-spec console is a problem for the developers. Is it for developers? Yeah, for the developers. Okay. So the Series S may be a bit of game development blocker after all. According to one of the developers of Remedy Entertainment, the weakest of all the mainstream current-gen consoles is the Series S, was designed from the ground up as a cheaper, more affordable version of the Series X, with one of its big drawbacks or draws being that it would still be able to play all the big games only at a reduced visual fidelity. The value of Microsoft's low-spec console has been brought into question many times before. One of the most recent examples being the fact that Xbox version of Baldur's Gate 3 is being held back by Series S. According to Larian Studios itself, is previously that the Thomas Puha, Remedy Entertainment, chimed in. He says that the Series S relatively weaker hardware and the role in the game development. According to the communication director at Remedy Entertainment, the studio behind Control, the low-spec hardware of the Xbox Series S isn't something that can be simply optimized for after development is done. Instead, Puha claims that the console's technical limitations need to be taken into account at the beginning of the game's production, which immediately scales back to developers could otherwise create in the Series X was the only current gen Xbox console. Okay. Puha's statement comes after Baldur's Gate 3 boss said that Series S isn't problematic for the game development. It's worth pointing out. Moreover, some felt the need to call Puha out for his role in the game's production process as a communication director, claiming it amounts to just PR. This is all said and done. Puha, however, has been in Remedy Entertainment since 2015, according to the LinkedIn page, and he's likely immediately familiar with the Remedy's production pipeline as some authorities on the topic. Now, a developer at Rocksteady also thinks the Xbox Series S holds back development and wasn't shy about voicing it back in 2022. Senior character technical artist Lee Donovan said that the Series S is not much better than the last-gen console, but the fact remains that it's just something that Xbox developers will need to contend with, as every Series X game needs to also run on the console lower-spec variations. Now, since the Xbox Series S is cheap compared to both the X and the PlayStation 5 consoles, this positions the device as a key choice for gamers looking for more affordable options. Of course, it's a sound argument that targeting the Series S lower-end hardware means that the games might be less technically advanced, and they otherwise might have been making the games available on a wider range of hardware is boon into its own right. So, look, correct me if I'm wrong, right, chat? But if I have, back in the day, I have a 3060, right? A graphics card 3060. Some of you guys have like the 40s, the 40 series and whatnot. And then there's like the old graphic cards, like 960s, right? The i5s or PCs. Isn't that just as hard for developers? And again, I don't know if there's any developers. I know we have a developer in chat. I forget. Oh, I don't know their name in YouTube, but I do know their name in Discord. But as a developer, isn't it just as difficult to create fidelity for all the different graphic cards that are up there? Hence why there's a minimum requirement and a recommended requirement, right? Is that the same thing? do you know what I mean? Go on, Lurker. So if the S, right, in the past, consoles were consoles, so you know they would have to make it for the PlayStation 3, the Xbox, the Switch, all this stuff, right? So why is it that the developers that make games for the PC, for the PlayStation, for the Xbox, the S is that recommended level? Would it not? Wouldn't that be the exact same thing? Like across the box, it would say like recommended minimum level would be like the S, right? Or recommended would be X, PlayStation 5, but the minimum, bare minimum, would be the lower end tier. Wouldn't that be the same? Akuta Papa says, not really, because you don't have the graphics level to change something that could be added to consoles. No, I get that. You're talking about like a slider compared to the bare minimum of what it is, right? But what I'm saying is there is no graphics slider, so couldn't they put something in and go, okay, well, they did it for Destiny when Destiny was on the 1, right? Or was it? No, it was a 360. It was the 3, right? Destiny came out in the 360. Hold on a second. Destiny was on the Xbox 360, and then it came to the 1, correct? And then they redid it. So what was the problem, right? I don't remember articles of developers talking about the issue of making the game on the 360 and then for the PlayStation 3 and then also making it for the PlayStation 4. Same exact thing. The 360 and the PlayStation 3 to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 is the exact same scenario that we have right now for Xbox Series S and X, right? So why don't they just do this? Now, maybe Xbox wants it all launching at the exact same time, but why don't they just say, yeah, it's coming out for the X and it's coming out for the S, but it's coming out on the S a little later, but they launch it on the X and PC early. Right? Now, I know they want to play where you want, anytime you want, at the same time, day and date. But it just seems weird to me. And I'm truly asking, because the 360 is a much lower graphical source. And then when I played Destiny, I remember upgrading and getting the 1. And then you can see the space, the satellite on the moon. You can see the space station up there. You can see different explosions and different things that you didn't see on the Xbox 360. Consoles have ceilings, and that's it. So you know that the limits of graphical are correct. It's not like... Here's the best part, though. It's not like the S was like a surprise. Like they're like, hey, we're making a game for the Series X and the PlayStation 5. Oh, and by the way, can you also make it for this box with... They know it's there. Right? They know it's there. So it takes a little longer to put it out, right? Right now, a person's like, I want to make a game. I want to make a game. And I got to make a game for the Xbox Series S and the X. It's the same when a game... Hell, look at EA. EA right now is making a game of Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and they're porting it back to the older system of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I don't know what's so hard. It's similar to recommended as a PC. I think resilience of the stuff like FSR and checkerboarding has hurt game development more than the Series S. But that's what I'm saying, Kuda. Again, I'm not a developer. I should reach out to a couple of my friends that are developers and ask them why the S, because no one's coming out, right? And the people that come out are saying that there's problems, but then other people are like, there's no problems. So it's just like more of a preference, right? More of a pain in the ass, right? You're like, well, I'm making a game for the X, but I also got to make it for the S, right? And you got to make it for the lowest denominator. But you got to do that anyway, because if there was no S, right? If there was no S, and there's a PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X, right? And then there's also the computer, you got to make the game run on the lowest tier thing. And that would be the lowest graphics card on the computer compared to what the consoles are. And if the consoles are similar, but one's lower than the other, you still have to lower it for the lower system. They're not the same. There's one better than the other. So they still have to make it. So I would really like to sit down with someone that would be interested to talk about why it's so detrimental to make games for the S. Because I see from the business standpoint why Xbox wants to push the S. It's lower. Other people, when they look at a game system, they're like, I don't really have the money to put into $500, right? But I can get a box that's $300 or $250, $300, and it comes with Game Pass, right? Xbox architecture is different to PC. But even if it is or isn't Titan, right? Right now, Microsoft, everything that comes out first-party title is running on PC, Xbox Series X, and S. And they could do that. You know what I mean? No one's complaining. No one's complaining about making games for the PC and X for Microsoft, right? It's only the people complaining about the S. From my point of view, it's not a major issue. Here, let me put this on. From my point of view, it's not a major issue. There aren't treating it like a PC spread from a GTX 960 to the RTX 490. You want graphical fidelity, but you aren't going to get fidelity with the 960. But that's my point. You're not going to get the fidelity with the Series S. So what's the difference? What's the difference if you're developing for the 490 and the 96 and 960? Right? The architecture is slightly different, but Xbox is running Microsoft Windows. But they already know going in that they have to create for that. They already made the deals and stuff with that in mind. To come out later and say that this is a problem while you're already making the game for it. I personally think, and now obviously Xbox's game plan is they want everything to come out at the exact same time. Right? Like Baldur's Gate comes out today. Right? And it's coming out today for PC, and it's coming out today for PlayStation 5. The reason it's not coming out for Xbox right now is because the S is holding it back a little bit, and they're trying to figure it out. But you can still get it for it down the road, right? It's still coming out for it. Right? But the developers of Baldur's Gate said that the S, right? The S is not coming out, right? Oh, it's September for PlayStation 5, so there you go. Right? So it's coming out for PC today. It comes out for PlayStation in September, and we don't know when it comes out for Xbox, right? The difference is they don't use the graphics slider properly on the PC, at least from what I've seen. I want to get the game. It looked the best, and it can with the FSR, the DLSS checkerboard. We want to run at 1440. Lurker says the issue is that the Series S is so much weaker that they can't get the feature party. The lower frames and resolution are not the problem. They can't get the same game at this point. So then why don't they just limit it, that sort of like what they did with Hogwarts, right? Hogwarts came out on the XS and PlayStation 5, but then they waited to put it on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. So then why don't they just do that with the X and S? Like if you have the X, you can get it earlier, and if you have an S, then you get it a little bit later. Sarge is like, Baldur's Gate out today, uh-oh. And you just got your computer back, Sarge. We'll see you in 3 months. You either want to pay less money for Game Pass key or more money for Game Pass key. Only difference between the X and the S. Well, right, but if you get the X, you're getting more visual stuff, boss, than the S, right? You're getting better graphical stuff on the X than you are the S on Game Pass. They would have to get split screen on the X, but no split screen on the S. Microsoft says no. Right. And I think that's where the part is, right? That's the catalyst. Microsoft says if you're making the game for the X, it has to come out for the S the exact same time. Oh, so that means we get to see Sarge's face tonight on GXG. I think so. Yeah. We got to do some tests after this to see if it's all up and running for him. Oh, I got you. Boss. Okay. And it's 4-player co-op, is it? Should I get it? Should I get Baldur's Gate? I don't know if I'll have time to put it in. We could put 100 hours in, 160 hours. That gets us out of what, Act 1? That gets us out. We can put 160 hours in, right? That gets us to Act 1. I want to see Sean beat up Megalodon. Yeah, I think I might watch. Yeah, Wheezy said he had 56 hours into Act 1 alone, and he didn't finish everything. Yeah. Now, I watched somebody else. They put in over 100 and something hours into Act 1, and they didn't finish everything. It all depends what type of gamer you are. I think you could go like main story or whatnot. Here's the problem. Baldur's Gate 3 as a streamer is not going to be good. Any story-driven game like that, rich a story, a lot of people don't care about it, right? Because you want to play it yourself if you're interested in it. And only the people that play those types of games as a content creator bring in those types of people, so they know that instead of buying it, they're just going to watch that person play it. I used to do this with Co-Carnage. Co-Carnage was my go-to when my son was like an infant and I didn't have time to play a lot of games. I was just playing Destiny at the time. And all the other games, I would just watch him play. You know? So I don't know if I should pick it up, because I'll be honest, I probably won't have time to finish the game. Unless we do like I do a big chunk and then we do like in rotation every week. We play one night, like 2-3 hours. It would take me a full year to get it done. 10 weeks would be 30 hours, right? 10 weeks would be 30 hours if I did 3 hours. It would be something I play off like offline on the weekends by myself and maybe upload it up on the screen, up on stream. It'd be hard. It'd be a hard sell for me. All right. A lot of people are freaking out over this next story. But not really the article, but just people on social media. Yeah, Starfield's coming, but at the same time, I'm not spending money on Starfield. Baldur's Gate I would pay for. That's the difference, Sarge. Like if I pay for a game, I put time into it. If I don't buy the game, then I'll play it. I'll play it when I play it. Starfield, I have a little thing I want to do with it, so we're gonna try it out. So. Yeah, if I buy a game, I want to put my money's worth into it. Starfield, I'm not paying for. So, next story. Next story is Microsoft is bringing Starfield and Forza to Gamescom, but won't be available to play. Now, before I even read this article, because I haven't read it yet, on social media, people are like freaking out, right? People are freaking out because they're saying that Starfield is going to be there or is not going to be playable demo to the public before the game comes out. It's like a week before the game comes out. Okay. And people are like freaking out. They're like, oh, it's not playable. They're trying to hide something. Something's it. And I don't think that's it. Right? What they're doing, okay, everyone's like, there's no advertisement. I see Starfield all over the place, right? The marketing for this is all over the place. Okay? Right, Kyle. That's what everyone's saying. It's broken. It can't be played. Hide it all. Like burn it. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's it. Right? We've talked about this for years. Right? And now everyone else is catching on. Hell, fucking Digital Foundry just caught on a couple weeks ago when they said it out loud that their market plan for Xbox is not selling consoles. It's selling Game Pass. Right? I've been saying this for literally 5 years, right? 5 years. I've been talking about how Microsoft's game plan is selling Game Pass, not games, or not consoles. Okay. So what's the benefits? What's the benefits if they have a playable demo, even if it is for the public, right? People make tweets and stuff and it says, oh my God, like how much time do you think that at Gamescom someone's going to have to play a game, right? I think the reason it's not playable for the public is that it's going to take so much time to do something in the game that they're not going to have enough time to get enough people. So it's not worth the time to set up the booths, to put the game in, to have people come in and play it, because they can play it for almost free, right? Obviously for $10 or $11 on Game Pass. This is the largest... This is the lead. This is the franchise title that's coming out for Xbox, right? This is the franchise now. This is the game that Bethesda's been talking about for like, I don't know, 20 years. They want to make a separate game, and now they've been working on it for 8 years, and now here it is. And it's only exclusive for Microsoft, so it'll be on PC. It'll be on, right? And they know the PC sales are going to happen. But they want people to get Game Pass. And I don't think the people that play it in the public at Gamescom are going to be like, oh, no, it's going to be a small little portion. So they're going to be like, yeah, it was a lot of fun, but I didn't really get to play much because it's such a massive game. Right? It's a story-driven game. So I think that they're holding it back because if you're interested, it's just a small little fee of $10 to get it if you're an Xbox fan, right? Yeah, there's closed demos and presses, Titan. It's just that there's the The whole thing is it's not open to the public at Gamescom, and that's why people are upset, right? Akuta Papa says, I'm just glad that Starfield is bringing back one of Superfan Companions of Oblivion. Means free money from his body and gear. Kylo says, why would they want people to play it a week before release and have them spoil the game for you on Twitter? It makes sense to me. It comes out a week later for everyone, so what's the point? The point is just it's on Game Pass. I don't even think it's story driven, Kylo. I don't even think it's story driven. I really think it's just that's not the type of game it is, right? To do anything in that game, I guarantee you, like when I go to conventions and I play a lot of games, it's like a small section, one little mission or whatever. But missions in here might not be a small mission. Like a mission would be like, talk to this person, walk across. You know what I mean? It's not a first person shooter action based type of thing. So like, what would they pick? Rose says that's definitely a red flag in my opinion. If they don't let you go hands-on, Redfall did something similar, invited people to play it, but they couldn't use the footage hiding something. But no one says they're hiding footage though now, Rose. They're just saying that it's not public at Gamescom. There's still closed doors and people can still play it behind closed doors. It's just not open to the public. Until they do, right? Let me make that clear. Nothing says that they're hiding footage until they say, hey, I'm showing you footage that I can't show you because of reasons, right? And we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But as of right now, they're just saying it's not open to the public. It's still behind closed doors. Papa says, I'm not worried personally. I just finished Oblivion, and I got all the achievements playing Skyrim now and laughing at all the bugs that are still present. I don't think, well, let's read this, right? Let's read this. All right. So players will be getting experience at Microsoft's biggest booth ever booth at Gamescom. This year, the publisher is gearing up to bring two big games, amongst others, to the convention. You'll be able to find both Starfield and Forza Motorsports on the show floor. You'll be able to find both Starfield and Forza Motorsports on the show floor this year. PI exclusive theater presentation, but sadly, these two big game releases won't be available to play. However, luckily, there'll still be a ton of new games to enjoy, and with 25 playable games on Microsoft's bumper booth, you'll be spoiled for choice about Armored Core 6, Fire's Rubicon, Persona 5 Tactical, and Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty expansion. Okay, players will also be able to experience Towerborn, Payday 3, Stalker 2 for the first time, and we also get the sample of Payday 3 in the preview glore, already finding that it's a title that one hell of a good time. It feels like they're also pulling off an actual robberies. While the closed beta begins this week for players on Xbox Series on the Series S, X, S, and PC. When it comes to the first-party Xbox games, players can expect to see Microsoft Flight Simulator and Elder Scrolls Online in some capacity, although nothing from the 2024 Xbox lineup will be appearing this time around. It's hardly surprising, as it's already had not been 3 showcases this year. Now, this showcase gave a glimpse into numbers of titles, but the standout was a dedicated Starfield Direct, which dominated a bunch of new features in the game. In this, we got a 45-minute new features, including preview of characters creation, map size, and some of the best rock fans have ever seen. The other 2 showcases gave players a glimpse of several different titles that are set to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC, whether it's Persona Tactics, or players can expect a ton of games, new and old, at the 2024 from Xbox. So they are showing a bunch of stuff, but it is kind of strange they're not showing Starfield. And I think because it's a week later, I truly believe they want people to... The hype is Starfield's coming out. We want people to get it, but the way to get it is you're either going to pay $70 or $100 or $120, and then you're also going to try Game Pass. And they want that Game Pass number to go up, even if it's for a month, right? Even if it's for a month. Now, I'm not saying my red flags aren't going off, right? If we get behind closed doors, leading up to Starfield, and reviews start coming out, and they're like, well, we couldn't use our own footage, and we can't show you this part of the game, or stuff like that, then that's interesting to me, right? That's interesting because then we can start criticizing, going, oh, that's why it wasn't at Gamescom for the public, because it's buggy or glitchy or something's happening behind closed doors. Okay, nobody complained or made it a big deal when Cyberpunk 2077 was at Gamescom and all these other shows, and you couldn't see it. You had to be a press person to get behind closed doors, and they also didn't show stuff, right? Not until after the game came out, people were like, well, the game's broke and buggy, and people are still defending it, but going, well, it's not broke on my PC, right? It's exactly the same. So it could fall in the same category as Cyberpunk 2077, where Starfield comes out and it could be a broken, buggy mess on consoles and whatnot, and maybe it's good for PC. Who knows? But I'm not going to go into saying that this is kind of weird, because I know where I'm coming from, and I think that they're trying to sell Game Pass, right? And they don't need to show anymore for Starfield. They showed a 45-minute. No game has done that. 45 minutes of content and talks about Starfield just a month and a half ago. Okay? And that was all the advertisement they needed to sell Game Pass. Proven in the fact that Xbox is selling more now because of it. Game Pass, supposedly more people are buying Game Pass now. So it begs to differ that that's their game plan, right? This is the flagship thing, and they don't really need to say much more, right? You're either going to get it, right? You're either going to get it or not, and it's $10 for Game Pass, right? Or you're going to buy it for the full price. "45 minutes of lies." It's sort of like the 120 minutes of lies that you tell in this channel as well, Travis. Yeah, that works. There's Dupless in the schoolyard. Oh! You're getting lies and facts mixed up again. No. There's plenty of stuff that you just say in chat that are just blatant out lies or misinformed. All right, let's see what else we got here. Am I unique that way? I guess, sure. Lurker says, nope. Some of it's funny, but not facts. I mean, obviously, Travis, you're more than welcome to say what you want, but I'm also allowed to call you out on some of the stuff, right? Besides, you can't say, "Oh, this guy is right half the time." Who said when? When did that come out of my mouth? See, here's some lies. When did that come out of my mouth that I said that you're right half the time? that is not on record. Ever. That's never came out, besides me reading your chat right now where I said this guy says, oh, this guy's right half the time. That has never, ever came out of my mouth that says, oh, Travis is right half the time. That's never, ever happened to come out of my mouth, except right now making fun of it. Somehow it changed some of the time to half of the time. some of the time. I think I've said maybe 5 times. And if you look back on how many times you talk in chat, I think it was maybe 5 times. I was like, that's a good point, Travis. I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day. It's good times. Good times. All right, the next article I have here, that's I guess a bonus one. Right, Kylo? So Insomniac's next big game, Marvel related, would be a double-edged sword. Now, I don't know what this is talking about, right? We were talking about the other day, what should their third game be, right? Some people are saying that it's it could be Ratchet and Clank. I think it's an X-Men game. Okay. I also said it could be a Doctor Strange type of game. Maybe it's a Doctor Strange multiplayer game. Who knows? Put your guesses out there. It says Insomniac is confirmed to be working on a third alongside Spidey and Wolverine, and being another Marvel game would also have its pros and cons. Okay. For the last 27 years, Insomniac Games has continued to put out a consistent stream of great games, and while a lot of it have good their way to a lot of different platforms, most of Insomniac's best titles have been reversed solely for PlayStation: Spyro the Dragon, Resistance, Ratchet and Clank, and now Marvel's Spider-Man. Insomniac Games has had a long history with Sony, and the relationship only is getting stronger with time, with 2 more PlayStation exclusives well on the way. Landing on October 20th, Marvel Spider-Man 2 is one of the most anticipated games to fall in 2023. And following that, Insomniac is set to release Marvel's Wolverine, much like Rocksteady was supposed to do for DC. Insomniac is quickly becoming Marvel's biggest video game partner. And with a third game apparently being in development over the studio, there's both upsides and downsides if it's being yet another Marvel title. Now, the upside for the Insomniac next game being a Marvel-focused, over the last 5 years, Insomniac has well and truly proven that it's capable of handling the Marvel license. One of the hottest brands in the world right now. I don't know if it's the hottest brand anymore. It was. Insomniac released Marvel Spider-Man at the very height of the MCU's popularity. That is true. Okay. And it didn't fumble the bag at all. And with a stellar story, great characters, excellent combat, and the best web-swinging fans have experienced so far in a video game, Marvel Spider-Man was truly a great video game, and semi-sequel Miles Morales only continued to cement the fact that Insomniac was the right choice for the job. Now, if there's one thing that Marvel Spider-Man and Miles Morales made clear, is just how passionate Insomniac was about Spider-Man character and all the surrounding mythos, with the studio putting its own unique spin on the lore, but also keeping plenty of vital elements and delivering a ton of well-earned fan service along the way. And with Insomniac now working on Marvel's Wolverine, it's pretty safe to assume that the team have a love for all things Marvel. So if Insomniac's third development project is another Marvel game, it'll be likely to be another passionate project. It's also exactly what Marvel Video Games department needs right now. Now, Insomniac clearly has been deep love for the wide assortment of Marvel characters, and there's also plenty of heroes that developer would make excellent game out of. I swear to God, that we literally just... When did this article come out? This article came out today? 3 hours ago. Are one of you guys working for Game Rant, and do you listen to my stuff? Because there's no possible way that this many times that Game Rant talks about stuff right after I talk about it. Right after I talk about it. We literally just talked about a Doctor Strange. Literally right after we talk about it. All right. So the game out, Doctor Strange, Daredevil, the Punisher, Moon Knight, and the rest of the X-Men are all characters that deserve their own video game adaptation in the Insomniac third game. Revolved around many of these, and there's no doubt that the fans would be happy. Further, there's no real doubt that the game would be an enormous commercial success right out of the gate. Well, Insomniac's making games, but I don't want to say Marvel is an instant success. It all depends on who you pick, right? Boss says X-Men's offensive. It's mutants now. Not to me, boss. It will be X-Men, and if they come out with a mutants game, I will not buy it. And if mutants is X-Men, I'm not buying it because that's not my X-Men. Okay. The downside for Insomniac's next game being Marvel focused, But the biggest downside on Insomniac's next game being Marvel one is that it potentially loses some of the original identity. And the process, it might at the end up forgetting about some of the most beloved original IPs long before Marvel's Spider-Man. Insomniac Games was best known for its work in the original Spyro the Dragon trilogy and the entire Ratchet and Clank franchise and fun experimental one-offs like Sunset Overdrive. If Insomniac is developing a third Marvel game right now, then it could end up being a locked-in at Marvel-only cycle, and the developer still has so much left to give, and it comes to returning to its old IPs, or delivering a completely new one. Beyond that, Insomniac Games being a PlayStation exclusive means that Xbox and PC users would be missing out on yet another video game. Well, here's the thing. I understand what the article is saying, that, yeah, they could be losing their identity. But if they're under contract, right? If they're under contract, and again, we don't know, but if Insomniac signed a deal with Marvel and said, yeah, we'll make 3 games with you, they just haven't told us, the public, that they're making a 3-game contract. So if they even make a Marvel game, is that going to be like, oh, Insomniac's just a Marvel game? No, I think that's like saying that Rocksteady only makes Batman games, right? They made a really good Batman Arkham, game, and then they made other Batman games as well in the series. I don't think that's a bad thing to say that, well, they're not pigeonholed to that. They just have to finish the contract that's outright for them, which would be Spider-Man, Wolverine, and then the third game. Now, obviously, would it be nice if it's an original IP? Sure. But some original IPs are not marketable, or they don't know what's going to do. See, the reason they picked Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's one of the best-known characters, if not the best-known Marvel character out there. And Wolverine is up there, right, as one of the top comic book characters out there of all time as well, right? So everyone knows Wolverine's a very popular character. They're not making, like, one-off of, like, some, like, side character. You know what I mean? So picking the Punisher, Daredevil, Thor, Hulk, right, a standalone story, I think they'll be fine for one more game, especially if Wolverine comes out. Well, one, Spider-Man 2 coming out this year. If it's just as good as the first one and Miles Morales, then they're going to be like, damn, just keep making these, right? And then when Wolverine comes out the following year, people are going to be even better. They're going to be like, oh my God, these guys are just nailing it out of the park. So I don't see it if obviously if Spider-Man 2 sells well and Wolverine comes out and sells well, whatever the third game is, if it's a Marvel game, I honestly think that might be the peak of it, and then they kind of just stop and then do something else. But making that third Marvel game, if it is a Marvel game, I don't think really hurts the IP brand of what Insomniac does, because Insomniac is a game company, and it doesn't matter if it's an original like Sunset Overdrive, or if it's Ratchet and Clank, or if it's Spider-Man. Everything they make is they just smash it out of the park. They've done a really good job of making video games as a video game company. They're probably one of the few companies that people still respect. So if a Marvel game, in my opinion, comes out as their third one, I don't think people would have a problem with it. They would just be like, Insomniac makes good stuff, so whatever they make, we're good with. What Kuda Papa says, I gotta go. You're getting close to the truth. Get close to the truth of what? Oh, I asked for an X-Men game a long time ago, Viking, but I'm talking about yesterday. We had a conversation in the morning, literally about Insomniac and about Spider-Man and whatnot. Was it yesterday or the day before? And then all of a sudden now there's an article talking about Doctor Strange, Daredevil, Punisher, and X-Men games from Insomniac. I just thought it's always weird. Every time we talk about a topic on my show, within 2 days there's an article about it on Game Rant. Oh, Akuda Papa's making a joke. I gotta go. You're getting close to the truth. Akuda Papa's actually a writer for Game Rant. She has a massive chin and jaw, and she looks like Lord Farquaad from Shrek. Who's that? Oh, Travis Smoke Bomb. Right, Spyro is what, yeah. But what I'm saying is, Insomniac makes great games. I don't care if they make another Marvel game. They're just going to make another great game. Sunset Overdrive is such a hidden gem. Wish they make a second one. Maybe they are. Wouldn't that be cool if they came out and said the third one's an actual Sunset Overdrive 2? Is that true? It's the first part. It's the number one first party. Let's look that up. Let's see. Let's see the claim. What is the best selling first party? Top 6 best-selling first-party PlayStation franchises. Gran Turismo leads the charge with massive 90 million copies sold. Okay, let's see. Then it becomes Uncharted. Then it's Uncharted. Then it's Spider-Man, includes Miles Morales at 33 million. Then Last of Us at 30 million. And then God of War at 28.1. So it's not the top. It's not the top, but it is close to the top. But Gran Turismo series, though, here's the thing. All of these are like sequels and whatnot. Gran Turismo's had a way more games, so it's kind of unfair to put Gran Turismo in there, in my opinion. Uncharted has 41 million, but there's also 4 of those games, so there's more games. Now, with just 2 in each of the games, which would be Spider-Man, Last of Us, God of War, and Horizon, it is the number one selling game for a game with a sequel, okay? And that is true with 33 million, right? Because Uncharted's got 4 games. Gran Turismo's got like 5 or 6. And Spider-Man's only got 2. It's got Spider-Man and Miles Morales. So, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Right? There's an asterisk there. There's an asterisk there. But I think he actually is correct. Because I think Spider-Man 1 has sold 20-something million by itself. Right? Let's go down the rabbit hole here, right? Let's see. Spider-Man. Sales. Marvel Spider-Man PlayStation reached 33 million, but it reached 13.2 million. Okay. Let's go even better. PlayStation let's see here. There you go. It looks like best-selling PlayStation video games. Let's see here. Gran Turismo is a series, though. That's a series. Final Fantasy is a series. Gran Turismo. That's not what I'm asking. Best-selling PlayStation 4. What's the best-selling, highest-selling game? Call of Duty Modern Warfare, but that's not the first party. I need to put first party. PlayStation top-selling. Not franchise. I want individual games. What was the number one best-selling? No. Last of Us and Last of Us Remastered. But how many did the remaster sell? How many did the remaster sell? Marvel Spider-Man, 20 million copies. I think it was 23 million. I think it is the number one selling game. I think Titan is correct. 1 point for Titan. Yeah, no idea who owns the IP of Sunset Overdrive. Uncharted has Lost Legacy and Remastered. So it's got like 6. It's got like 6 of them. Yeah, no, but it's talking about the newer games. Obviously, if it's in a series. The older games are not going to sell as much. I think Spider-Man has the most. So I don't want the lifetime of both games. I just want I just want Spider-Man. What did Spider-Man sell? It's got 33 million total, but I want to know what just Spider-Man. 33 million copies, but that includes Miles Morales. I hate that they include that. Just give me what Spider-Man. I still think Titan's correct. I think Spider-Man for first party is the highest selling game. It beat God of War and whatnot. Technically, the two PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 God of War games are higher. Okay, let's look. Because Viking wants to win this. So let's look it up and let's put it to bed. God of War, PlayStation 4 sales. Okay, the game also performed commercially well, selling over 5 million units within a month of its release and 23 million units sold by November 2022, making it one of the best-selling PlayStation 4 games and best-selling in the game series. So 23 million units for God of War. Okay. Now, Spider-Man, PlayStation 4 sales. Okay. Marvel Spider-Man had sold over 9 million physical and digital units worldwide by November of 2018, increased to 13.2 million by August of 2019, and then Marvel Spider-Man series has sold over 33 million units by... Yeah, but see, it says series. They're throwing that in there again. Spider-Man for PlayStation. I think God of War has it by individual game, but when they combine the total of the series, Spider-Man gets it, which is pretty interesting. That means Ragnarok didn't sell very well compared to the first one, right? Oh, here you go. It just says Spider-Man. It says Spider-Man. Spider-Man has sold over 20 million units. That's just Spider-Man. We don't know the exact number. So over 20 million. So it might be even. It might be even with it. It balanced to get an even bigger couple of years. A new generation has more players. When was this article written? This article was written 2020. So it did sell 20 million. So I still think Titan has the correct for the individual. It might be again, PlayStation's going to know. It might be winning by like a couple 100,000. I actually think Sunset Overdrive. Let me see. Sunset Overdrive. As previously expected, Sony now owns Sunset Overdrive brand. Despite the game first launching on Xbox One exclusive, Insomniac Games famously retained the rights of the inclusion property. So Insomniac owns it. Insomniac owns it, and Sony owns Insomniac, so they own Sunset Overdrive. That number includes remasters, I think. No, it doesn't, Cujo, because the 20 million copies. Are you talking about the 20 million that I just said? That article was written in 2020. They didn't have the remastered until the system came out. Before the remastered came out. So that's just PlayStation 4. So Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 sold 20 million copies. Once PlayStation 5 came out, and then Miles Morales came in on the 4 and 5, and then the remaster, that's the additional 13 million or whatever. we had this conversation, Viking. Miles Morales, even though I love the game, it's a great standalone game. It's not a full-fledged game. It is a DLC. Hence why they bundled it. You could buy it for cheaper, right? They made it $10 cheaper or $10 more, or I should say $10 less than $60. It was like $50, I think, by itself, and you could get it for $70 with Spider-Man Remastered, right? It was supposed to be an expansion, and then they sold it higher price, and it wasn't justified, so they added it to get that $70 price point. It's not a diss at Miles Morales. It started off as a DLC, and you could tell based on the way the story was going in the first game, and then with the DLCs that came out. Miles is free on PlayStation Plus. Well, that's just marketing, right? That's just marketing because the next Spider-Man 2 is coming out. So if you play Miles Morales, then you're gonna get that bug, that hook, that little. They're gonna get your grasps in you because you're like, oh man, I just played Spider-Man Miles Morales, and you're gonna get Spider-Man 2. Does that mean Spider-Man 2 will sell less seeing Ragnarok and Forbidden West? Does that mean Spider-Man 2 will sell less? It all depends. Is Spider-Man 2 coming out on PlayStation 4? Or is it just coming out on PlayStation 5? If it's coming out on PlayStation 4 and 5, I don't think it sells less. I think it's going to sell a lot. If it's on PlayStation 5, the player base is not there. There's only 40 million units. Now, Spider-Man's going to sell units, right? Spider-Man is going to sell units on the bundle, and that game is going to sell, I would say, an additional like 2 to 3 million units of PlayStation. So by the time Spider-Man comes out, I think you're going to have around a user base of around 45 million units, right? I would say between 42 and 45 million units of PlayStation out there. According to the Gamer, Forbidden West outsold the original. Spy 2 is supposedly only PlayStation 5. Sony's trying to get rid of the PlayStation. If it's only okay, so God of War Ragnarok. Hold on, I believe sold 11 million. Yeah, so God of War sold 11 million copies, which that's impressive, but that's also on the 4 and 5, correct? Ragnarok was on 4 and 5. I don't think they give Ragnarok was sold approximately 11 million copies in 3 months, according to Sony. Developer Santa Monica Studios announced that the game was latest sales figures on Wednesday were incredibly humble. But that's on PlayStation 4 and 5, correct? They don't tell you the, or is God of War just on PlayStation 5? I thought it was on 4. Just PlayStation 5. Wait a minute. Ragnarok is only on PlayStation 5? I thought that was only on Horizon. No, you can get it for PlayStation 4. Come on, Dave. You're telling me you can't get God of War Ragnarok for PlayStation 4? It's literally right there. Right? So, 11 million units. If it was 11 million units on the PlayStation 5 only, that's super impressive. Okay? Because they only had a 38, not even 38 million at the time. It was like 35 million, maybe 32 million, right? Like PlayStation's out there. That's like 1/3, right? So, but that's not the case, right? It was out for PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. Right? So 11 million units to 150 million units out there, because 122 million PlayStation 4s and then an additional like 30 million, 35 million, let's say. So let's say it's 160 million units of consoles out there for PlayStation. It sold 11 million. So that's a great, that's like 10%, right? Well, a little less. It's like 9%, 10%, right? So that's impressive. Now, Spider-Man for the sequel, if it's just on PlayStation 5, that's going to hurt the sales, right? It's going to hurt the sales. It hurt the sales for Final Fantasy because they only got 3.3 million, and there's nobody else that can get it because people don't have the systems yet, and it's not for anything else, right? So if Spider-Man 2 is only for PlayStation 5, I still think it'll sell like the 5 million copies because Spider-Man's a very popular character, but the player base doesn't have the systems yet. And this is why I think Spider-Man will sell systems. He'll push systems, and you'll get an additional 2 to 5 million people. So it's like overlap. Now, if it's for 4 and 5, well, then it's going to sell a lot better. But if it's only on the 5, I think it'll sell like 5 million. The first one sold, what, 7 million? What was it again? Spider-Man? It sold 20 million when it first came out, but what did it sell when it first launched? 20 million was a total launch. Let's see here. Spider-Man, previous games, Insomniac, Miles Morales. Nope, it doesn't say it here. Come on, Super Dave. Now I can't find the actual number. 3.3 million copies. So USA Today reports that Marvel Spider-Man has sold 3.3 million copies, making it the even higher seller than the Homecoming opening weekend. So Spider-Man first week of sales crushed Spider-Man Homecoming. It sold 3.3 million units the first week, or first 3 days. So I think you'll get about 4.5. I would say the first week, I think you'll get about 4.5 million. I think it will be Final Fantasy. It'll definitely be Final Fantasy's 3.3 million. No, Spider-Man 2 only PlayStation 5. Oh, is that what you're saying, Rose? Okay. Forbidden West was on PlayStation 430. Its DLC was PlayStation 5 only. Have you seen Spider-Man 2 PlayStation 5? What do you mean, have I seen it? I've seen the trailers. That's what you're asking. Wasn't talking about Ragnarok. Okay, my apologies. I thought you were talking about Ragnarok. I was like, wait a minute. Miles was PlayStation 4 as well as PlayStation 5. Yeah. Come on, Solid Warrior. No, first 3 days. The first week, yeah. First week, it went on and it sold 20 million copies, Dupless. The first Spider-Man. It was like 22 or 23 million. And then with Miles Morales, it sold 33 million total. I think it was 22, and it was like 11 for Miles, and total was 33. But the first week was 3.3. I think the first week, if it's just PlayStation 5, I think you're getting around 4 million to maybe $5 million sales, or 5 million copies sold, which is huge. Because the player base of Spider-Man is only at 40. There's only 40 million units out there, right? 40 million units out there for PlayStation, and I do think that you'll sell at least 2 million I would say at least 2 million Spider-Man units over time. Hold on one second. Text me. You're picking up Final Fantasy 16 today? As I was about to order pre-order Spider-Man or SP2, and the deluxe version gives you 2 skill points. When did they start selling skill points? I don't even know what the hell skill points are. Skill points within the game itself? They're selling you skill points for the game? Oh, for God's sakes. Oh, yeah, I've seen, it's all over the internet, Viking. I saw it. Yeah. I saw the plates they were selling, the controller they were selling. Yeah. 4 million is huge? Not really if you think about it, right? Because the first game sold 3.3, right? The first game sold 3.3, but they didn't know what it was. Now, since the first game came out, you had the first game, then you had Miles Morales, right? And now you have it on the PlayStation 5. So people that don't own a PlayStation 5 yet will now go out and buy a PlayStation 5 bundle with Spider-Man, okay? So the sales will go up. I do believe Spider-Man will beat their original sales of 3.3 alone just because it's a sequel and the first one was so fantastic that they'll sell more based on that alone. Right? So I think they'll sell between 4.2 and 5 mil copies out of the 40 to 45 million units that are going to be out there, which is gigantic because that's the player base that like Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a well-known character. It's beyond video games. That's my prediction. You post it in general. Post what in general? Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it looks gorgeous. Avatar Deluxe and Premium Edition have extra quests and base version doesn't get. I don't like when they do that. That's even dickier, right? For people, it's only on PlayStation 5, and now you're dividing the people which ones they want to buy. Like, just give all the stuff. Don't do that. You need to remember, Spider-Man drop at the all-time high for the hype for MCU. It was all-time high. I get that, Paul. I still going to stick with my number. I still think I'm going to stick with my number. Because the game is different than the movies. Yes, you could cross-promote and whatnot. But at the same time, people know that the Spider-Man game was an awesome game. And Miles Morales was an awesome game. So that's a seller to get the sequel. We'll see. We'll see. I think it will be a better seller than Final Fantasy, and I think it'll be a better seller than any game that's on the... It'll be the highest selling first-party title PlayStation game as of right now, right? You don't think Spider-Man will beat Ragnarok by a ton? I mean, Ragnarok has PlayStation 4, though. They don't tell us the sales alone on PlayStation 5. They give us the total of 11 million copies sold. So it's hard to say how many sales Ragnarok had on PlayStation 5. I don't care to play Spider-Man 2 this time around. Okay. We'll see. I mean, my prediction is my prediction. More people that didn't have or didn't play Spider-Man the first time around, they'll probably get it this second time around. Oh, that's undeniable. He's the biggest. Now, don't get me wrong. Marvel's in a bad spot, but Spider-Man's still good. Here, let's look at this effect, right, Paul? Your point is that it was at the hype of its career when Spider-Man came out, right, for Marvel. Look at Marvel in general. The movies all were sucking. But what movie did better than all the rest of the movies after Endgame? Right? Endgame came out in 2019. Right? Spider-Man came out in 2018 at the hype of it. Meanwhile, the last Homecoming one, or Far From Home, Spider-Man broke $1 billion. And it was the best, 1.8, 1.9 million or billion, right? It was the best Marvel film outside of Marvel. So Spider-Man can sell. God of War Ragnarok also comes with the PlayStation 5 bundle, and I think that's why they also sold more PlayStations at the time. I think those God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, they are system sellers. If I had the money, I would buy a PlayStation 5, but I'm waiting for the Pro. It just so happens that the PlayStation 5 is coming out, or Spider-Man is coming out this year at the end of the first PlayStation cycle, and PlayStation Pro is coming out next year. I would rather get the higher end PlayStation than the lower end one with the Spider-Man attached to it. Otherwise, I would pick up a Spider-Man console. I am not a Barbie girl in a Barbie world wrapped in plastic. It's fantastic. I'm going to say it. I will add between 3.5 and 3 mil PlayStation 5's watch. My buddy ordered one yesterday. Yeah, that's what I said. I said right now we know there's 40 million units sold for PlayStation. I said we would get 42 to 45 million units within the next 2 months, right? When does Spider-Man come out? October. Oh yeah. Right now there's 40 million units. We're in August, September, October. And then the holidays kick in. And there's the bundle right now. For sure. I think we'll be at 45, easy 45 million, 45 to 46 million for PlayStations by the time Spider-Man comes out. And I think PlayStation Spider-Man will sell between 2 and 3 million of those consoles just by itself. I still have some hair to brush. I do. I actually have quite a lot of hair. I just keep it short, but I'm also going bald, and I don't deny that. It's got to be one of the biggest selling PlayStation 5 games as an install base is far bigger now. Well, the install base is still small though, right? Like if a game sells, let's just take PlayStation 4 for instance, right? 122 million PlayStation 4s out there, and Spider-Man sold 20 million, right? That's huge. That's huge. I'm balding at 26. It's depressing. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. I had a friend that was in high school, 18, bald. Like he was bald. Like not bald like completely. He had like the horseshoe thing. He didn't care. He rocked it. He was confident, man. Be confident. All right, good Papa. We'll be back tonight for GXG. We'll be me and Sarge tonight. Oh, I know you were. I knew that would come up. That's why I didn't say that line. You can brush my hair. Yeah, that because someone was definitely going to make a joke towards my head. The more you think, the more you lose. Is that proven? I don't know if that's a proven fact, Titan. You know what is a proven fact though? If you have children, you will lose your hair. That's fact. Or go gray. Yeah. You guys can't see it, right? Look at my beard. Right? That's gray. There was a time I make fun of my wife. My wife has really like long straight hair, right? And it's brown. And one day she was yelling at our son, and I shit you not. I watched one of her hairs on her head like go and kind of go down to right about here. It lost its pigment like that. And I was like, did I just see that correctly? Everyone's like, she's like, no way. I'm like, I swear to God, I just saw gray hair just appear instantaneously on your head. It's like the life force of her hair got sucked back in because she was yelling at him so much. Wait, you pulled out your own hair? No, I didn't pull out my hair. I never did the Jim Carrey like. I've never done that. Yeah, just stress. The worst is when you put a shirt and you find her hair in it. Oh yeah, for sure. My wife sheds more than our dog, for sure. For sure. Girls shed but we all shed, but you always find the long hairs everywhere. All right. I gotta get going because we're moving our kid from one school to the next because he got into the school we've been asking for 3 years. So we gotta go fill out some paperwork to get him out of the school that he's in to go put him in the new school that he's going to. We'll be back tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Generation X Gaming, the weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. If you guys like what you see here and what you be a part of this conversation every day, Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to about noon Eastern, I do appreciate you very much. Hit that like button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, hit the subscribe button. And then if you'd like to go above and beyond that, you can become a member as little as $5. I do appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us and part of the conversation in chat. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.